Olympics-wise, we're talking about the U.S. winning gold this tournament. And now that the Olympics are over, I don't know about you two, but I'm depressed. And there's it's not enough to watch in the morning when I wake up. But the biggest game over the weekend was the U.S. winning gold over Brazil. And it was Mallory Swanson who scored the game winner in the 57th minute. It's a through ball to Swanson. She faces up the goal, opens up her hips, and then slots it past the keeper. Game-winning gold to win gold for her country. I want to know from you two, if you were to score a game-winning goal to win gold, how would you want to score the goal?
Oh, how would I want to? I think like that, like a goal that you've trained 1,000 times, that you've worked for, that's kind of in your DNA as a player, exactly like that. And then to put it away in the moment where all eyes are on you, this massive game, this massive tournament is on you, and after a big injury like that, that's probably exactly how I would want to do it.
Oh, okay. What about you, Christine? How are you finishing that one for the gold?
Header goal, set piece.
Yeah, a corner?
Yeah.
Or coming in from the field?
Yep. Swinging in, back post.
Wow.
Like perfect, clean, like classic.
Like a little flick on header, or you're putting power behind it?
Power.
Nice. Power. Christine with the power. I could have guessed that one.
I'm like, most of my goals realistically.
I thought she was going to say like a half volley or something from I don't know.
I'm trying to go ahead.
I thought you were going to say
in an Olympic final is not realistic, but to be half realistic, like most of my goals were scored with my head, mostly because
I love that.
I am a bully and I wasn't afraid of going 50-50 or 60-40 on a ball with my whole head. So
that doesn't surprise me at all. That doesn't surprise me.
What about you?
I would want to score on a half volley, whether it's a cross coming in or a little bit of a poor clearance by the opposition and it's bouncing out and I'm on the half volley and I just lace it. And then it, rips a hole through the back of the net and we win gold. Obviously, because that's how much power I'd put behind it.
Super cash.
Obviously. Well, and we unfortunately did not get to score goals like that, but Mallory Swanson sure did to give the U.S. their record 5th gold medal over the weekend. And the U.S. do it in incredible fashion with a 1-0 win over Brazil. It's the first gold for the U.S. since 2012. And this comes after a tough Women's World Cup last summer for the U.S. So when you look at how many gold medals the U.S. have, 5, they have won Olympic gold each of the 5 times that they have failed to win a Women's World Cup. And they do that again. What a crazy stat. What a crazy stat. But when you think about that stat, Darian, what kind of statement does this gold win mean for the team?
I mean, it tells a story, right? You fail out of a World Cup, not say fail out, but you don't win a World Cup. It's a disappointment because there's so much pressure when you are on the U.S. team. There's this expectation to always win gold. So with that coming out of a loss, which is deemed for this federation, to then go into the next tournament, full steam ahead, switching things around, bringing in new personnel. I think we can look back at each tournament and say that. They make a statement. They come out and say, this is a new era. That was a fluke. World Cup was a fluke, and they win the Olympics. I think, that is a really wild stat that tells the story of this United States team and really the tenacity and how much deeper this team can go each time there's a setback. The ceiling is nowhere to be found.
I think it sends a broader message of this is the dawn of the new U.S. women's national team. This is the legacy DNA that we are true winners. We're champions in our blood, but it's youth. It's a little bit of jazz hands. It's a little bit of moxie. It's all of it. Think about it. The personalities that we have on this team, and maybe it's because a lot of them are closer in age and also much younger. The chemistry that they have and just the goofiness, the tenacity, the mixture of it all, where it's they're all big personalities, every single one of them, including Alyssa Nair, who my favorite storyline of this is just her learning to accept hugs.
Yeah, I know.
I'm oh my God, am I the Alyssa Nair?
She looks more and more comfortable each photo I see, her getting a hug. It's she's warming up to it.
The trajectory of this chemistry coming together as a whole squad and them being more familial, and it's great.
Well, Alyssa Nair, not only is she accepting hugs, but she's keeping shutouts. She becomes the first goalkeeper to keep a shutout in both a Women's World Cup and an Olympic gold medal match. And she looked so confident. She proved all the haters wrong that she deserved to do that. A final for that goalkeeper stat. But she is the only one to do that for the women. What were you going to say over there?
Oh, I was going to say that I think going back to that stat, which is just, it's still mind-blowing to me, but even when the U.S. loses a game, like during the W Gold Cup, they lost to Mexico, all of us said, I would be scared to play against this U.S. team next because they're going to come out swinging. They're going to look completely different. They're going to bring a different fight to the next game. Now think of that on a big scale of a tournament. That just proves that there's so much that this U.S. has to grow, and that's scary looking forward. That World Cup, there was so much criticism. Win the Olympics with this really, really young team. It's scary to look at the future of this team.
Yeah, when you look at the Olympics, not just as a major lifetime achievement for these players winning gold, but also as a condensed workshop of lessons and how quickly they were able to just jump ahead and face the next challenge. What is it? Is it a low block? Is it trying to fix their set piece problem? Is it being able to grind it out when you're mentally and physically exhausted? Being able to work better together and not having these individual performances that we used to see not so long ago. It's just a lot has happened in a very condensed amount of time, including Emma's condensed amount of time taking on this team. It's kind of insane. It's an anomaly, a beautiful anomaly.
Emma Hayes just 10 games at the helm of this U.S. women's national team before she is winning gold for this side. And another crazy stat, I'm bringing the fun ones today. The first game that Emma Hayes managed with this U.S. women's national team game came just 70 days before this gold medal match, and she ends up winning gold. How did she manage to do this?
Well, Emma Hayes came in with personality. She came in with exactly how she was at Chelsea, which we were all really excited to see, and just let players flourish. She brought fun, she brought humor, she brought a very openness to this team that we've never seen before. And I think it allowed all of the players to absolutely flourish, especially the front three. They actually got to be themselves and not play in this really structured U.S. soccer front line where the wingers go 1v1, they send in deep crosses, you load numbers in the box. We saw so much combination play and just fluidity and personality from the players on and off the pitch that I think totally changed the trajectory of this team, where we were so worried before, especially after the World Cup. Going into the World Cup, we had questions. We were very worried afterwards what it was going to look like, if she could handle this, and she absolutely did. But I think all this credit has to go to her, because I don't know if we would have gotten what we did out of the players in this team had she not been the coach.
Well, if you think about the roster for the U.S. from the Women's World Cup last summer, even the Olympics a few years ago in Tokyo, it's not all that different than what we saw this summer in Paris with this Olympics roster. And one of the biggest changes is who's coaching it. Now, under Emma Hayes, we're seeing things a little differently. But previously, in the former cycle, it was Vlatko Andonovski. And this graphic shows how U.S. women's national team performed in the run-up to and in the Olympics under Emma Hayes compared to Vlatko Andonovski. So Hayes recorded 9 wins and 1 draw, while Andonovski managed 6 wins, only 2 of those at the Olympics, 2 draws and 2 losses. The offense has posted somewhat comparable numbers, right? 20 goals scored under Hayes and 26 under Vlatko, but defensive wins championships. People say that all the time, and take a look at the difference in goals conceded in this 10-match stretch. Just 2 conceded so far under Emma Hayes, while 10 under Andonovski. All of those for Andonovski conceded at the Olympics. What is the biggest defensive difference between Andonovski and Hayes?
U.S. soccer is always, we're going to have the 9 press, cut the field in half, lock everybody to one side, and everybody filter in and lock the ball to the sideline. Hayes brought newness. She brought freshness. She brought asking questions, different pockets of space, whether it's funneling into the middle of the pitch and making teams try to get through the midfield and locking numbers and blocking spaces. Sometimes sending it to the sideline, depending on what team's strengths were. I think she adapted. She didn't change the way that the U.S. was playing. They still had the same qualities, the same personnel. She adapted to what teams were showing up with, which I think is the biggest difference. She was able to make real-time changes against teams like Japan, like a Germany, like a Brazil, who brought so many different things and came out on top. And I think that's why. She didn't stick to one mold of, this is how the national team plays. These are the qualities you need. There was such variety.
I think with that and just her rationale for the personnel selection, their high utility and versatility, that and then also addressing the issue of which she loves to be able to change things up and be more fluid, especially tactically on pitch, whether the game is going in their way or not. And she showed that this team is able to adjust, which we hadn't seen as much before. So I think the trust in her and knowing what they can do and would do is just remarkable.
Also, when things go wrong, she didn't panic. I think before, when something would, we talked about the left back position, playing balls over the top, you would see stress on the sideline from the coaching staff.
And changes.
It would
be like,
manic,
okay, sub up,
hockey
let's
change,
go.
boom, we're sending 5 players in right now, which causes so much disruption on the pitch. She remained calm. She stuck with her lineup, even when so many of us were critical about her not having subs, bringing people out, tired legs. She let the players on the pitch problem solve and never faltered. Yeah. So I think that is a huge difference. There was just so much confidence as to what their preparation was in the game that they could handle.
I think she also trusts in herself, and that's something that is absolutely priceless for this U.S. women's side, because everyone is so vocal in their criticisms of the rotation or lack of rotation. She's willing to do the unpopular thing and trust in herself unwaveringly that she knows how to get a job done. And she's demonstrated that now. And I think that she's now won a gold medal in such a small amount of time. And on top of that, she's now gained the trust of every single one of those players. You can see how much they love her already. She takes the time to address the players individually and understand what they need, how to make them better. And then small details like getting them manicures before a game. And I know we could laugh about it, but
that's team bonding. That's off the field stuff that you need.
You're meeting players where they're at that they enjoy doing.
It shows that she truly understands the things that make them happy to enhance them, because happy players are better on field.
She also brought a karaoke machine to Paris to show some personality. You need that.
She was friendly with the players in a way that's, I appreciate you as a person.
Respect.
I get you. I'm going to meet you where you're at. This is what you enjoy. This doesn't have to be so formal.
Yeah, you're 21. You're 22 years old.
You're Gen Zer.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You're going to do your TikTok dances.
Yeah.
Have fun with it. And then once we cross the white line and we're on the field for training or for practice, it is a different mindset.
I love that she has that hard line there. And she's addressed it, where it's like, I acknowledge that a lot of these players didn't get to do a lot of things. We wanted to rest their legs in between. And they adhere to that. There's a mutual respect there, where I feel like, and this isn't really a slight to Vlatko, but I feel like he was less willing to go against the tide, less willing to make the players unhappy in the short term, and I think it showed.
It's an impossible position. There's so much pressure on the head coach of the U.S. women's national team, and Emma Hayes has really lived up to those expectations. Of course, winning gold does that.